Hello.
And welcome
to Nightmare Nation,
a paranormal podcast where we talk about haunted places around the world.
And scary things.
And demons.
And seances.
And ghosts.
And Ouija boards.
And witches.
And vegans.
No, have we talked about witches? I think I just made that up.
No, we have.
When?
Salem.
Oh, that's
Witch
right.
trials.
Salem witch trials.
So, friends.
But basically, all things scary and haunted, and if it's paranormal or related to aliens or cults or anything interesting, we want to talk about it.
We talk about it because it's super cool.
It is super cool.
And it's just fascinating because you don't know what's out there.
Right. There's a lot that we can't explain, and we want to talk about it. We can't explain it, but we can discuss it.
We're here to explain it.
Well, we're here to explain what happened. We can't explain why it's happening or whether or not paranormal entities are truly there, or if it is some piece of science that we can't yet comprehend. We're not the experts. We're just the deliverers of hilarity and scary information.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe these ghosts are living in another dimension.
Yeah.
And so their dimension is correlating into our dimension, and then it's just one-dimensional craziness going on.
An interdimensional crazy ghost party.
Yes.
There is literally a Paranormal Activity movie called Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension.
Oh, is there?
So I think you're onto something. Because they got sick of numbering them. They didn't want to make Paranormal Activity 9, so they named it Ghost Dimension.
They probably just should have stopped after like the second one because they just kind of get a little ridiculous.
I felt like I enjoyed 3, and then from
because they all just kind of tied in. 1, 2, and 3 had their way of tying together,
and then they just had to stretch it. Like 4 technically tied back to the Katie and the original plot of the other movies, but it was such a stretch, and they barely related. Like, I liked the first 3 because we got to see kind of the story from everyone's perspective. Yeah. We got to see it from Katie's, and then we got to see it from her sisters, and then we got to see it from their parents growing up.
Yep.
And that was great. Just be done. Make it a trilogy and move on.
Mm-hmm. But no, they had to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
The Conjuring should keep going forever.
Yes.
Please keep making movies. Don't stop at 3.
Keep going.
Keep going. The Conjuring 3 was supposed to come out this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be, I think, in March, because I thought it was like March 20th, because I think we were going to go for my birthday. And
no, we were going to see A Quiet Place, too, for your birthday.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wonder, so I know that got
the third one was
back.
supposed to.
Oh, they pushed it out to 2021. That's too bad. It's supposed to be September 11th, 2020, but then on Google it says 2021, so I don't know. Oh. Hopefully sometime soon.
That'd be really cool.
Ooh, they're calling it The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. I love that title. That's awesome.
Gonna be so good.
Speaking of the title, I was just recommending the show Lucifer to Anna. So if you guys haven't seen it and you find the idea of the devil helping solving crime with his persuasive powers at all entertaining or funny, please watch it. And the guy who plays the devil is really hot.
He is real attractive.
He's super attractive.
It's fine.
It's a funny show.
I haven't watched it yet.
I would recommend it.
But she recommends it.
Yep.
I am now finally on the Lost train.
Yeah. Wait, is this your first time?
So when it first came out, I watched season 1 and then I stopped because I just didn't want to watch it. And then in English class in like sophomore year,
we watched the first episode, didn't we?
Like the first 1 or 2 episodes with Miss. I don't remember her name. Watched it then and then never watched it. And now I'm actually watching it. And I'm on season 3 and I'm like, my mind is just fucking everywhere. I don't know what to think. I don't know what's going on. Is this all in their head? Is this actually real?
Is there time travel involved?
Right?
Yes, maybe. So in my opinion,
just so many things.
It was watchable and interesting up until about season 3, in my opinion, because then they just start going down the most random plot rabbit holes that like none of the loose ends get tied up. They just keep introducing more and more stuff.
Perfect.
And I'm like, wait, can we go back and talk about what the smoke monster from episode 1 was?
Yes.
No, let's introduce this whole plot about how all these people landed here and they're actually stuck in a giant time loop. And I'm like, no, stop introducing unnecessary plot points. You have enough complexity as it is.
Yes.
And then when the series ends, like,
don't tell me about the series ending.
you're going to be disappointed.
I probably will be.
Half the plot lines don't get addressed at all. Period.
Good. So
it's like up to the internet to speculate, which I will be okay with that to some extent for some shows. But when you introduce as many plot points as you have and you answer about 10% of them, like that's just going to leave people pissed.
Yep.
I feel like,
and I feel like I remember when it ended, people were just pissed.
I feel like J.J. Abrams kind of like dug himself into a hole and didn't really know how to like wrap up all the stuff that he brought in. So he's like, okay, we'll just wrap this right up and we'll just throw this.
Be done.
We'll just paste this big like catch-all explanation on everything, which really doesn't catch anything at all, and we'll just call it a day. And we'll be done. I'm like,
okay, well, Now I'm not excited for the
I
end.
mean, keep going. It's worth
I'm
finishing.
still going to because I need to know what happens, but...
Well, you're going to have to do some Googling and look at internet theories because not a whole lot gets actually addressed.
Good. Perfect.
Anyway.
Well, friends, tonight, this morning, afternoon.
It'll be night when you listen to it, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know.
Night when it comes out anyway.
BT Dubs, I'm Anna.
Hey, I'm Annie.
We're your podcast hosts on this episode.
I thought you were talking about
always.
B-dubs for a second. I was like, what? You're going to order some wings?
Yeah.
I want wings.
Delicious.
Yeah.
We're taking you down south.
Yeah, we are.
Again.
To
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
To the LaLaurie.
I'm pretty sure she's French, right?
Yes.
Yes. So if I have to be like imaginative about how they pronounce it, it's probably like LaLaurie or something super French sounding.
Super fancy. And there's some names that are going to be coming up next that I'm not going to know how to pronounce. So we're just going to go with it.
Can't wait for it.
I know.
But we'll just go with LaLaurie for now.
LaLaurie.
How's that sound?
Yes, because I can pronounce that properly.
The LaLaurie Mansion!
In New Orleans, Louisiana.
I'm excited about this place because for anyone who likes American Horror Story, which I have not seen all the seasons, I've seen the first couple, and then I started watching the cult one about like the election, and I was like, this is fucking weird.
I got through season 1 and that's about it.
And then, well, I enjoyed the second season. I enjoyed the Circus Freaks one. The season 3 is the one that I'm talking about because the whole story of the coven and like the Madame Voodoo or whatever, and like the like witch evil lady who like tortures people in her attic, that's entirely based on this person from real history. And so the LaLaurie Mansion, I believe, was actually used in some of the filming for that season, I want to say.
No.
Oh,
they
shit.
couldn't because the person who owns the property didn't allow them to do any filming of the actual building or going inside. So they filmed down the road like a block away at a different mansion. And then they put like dirt and stuff down on the ground to make it seem like it was the actual mansion, but they couldn't get the permission from the owners to
Got
do
it. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe they did, but either way, the story of that season is kind of like, at least one of the characters is based on this real person who lived at the LaLaurie Mansion.
LaLaurie Mansion. So I'm gonna talk about the mansion just a titch, but it's mostly about the person who owned and lived in the mansion.
Who's such a fascinating character.
So interesting.
Craziness.
So the person is Marie Delphine McCarty. Later on is also known as Madame LaLaurie because she had 3 marriages. And her last marriage, she got the last name LaLaurie.
Fancy.
So she's a little how. So she was born March 19th, 1787 during the Spanish colonial period and was one of 5 children in her family. Her parents were Louis Barthélemy de McCarty, and her mother was Marie Jean, L'Érable.
Oh, snap.
That's probably really terrible.
You get some mad snaps.
Because the E it has a little something on the top.
Oh, it had a little accent.
Yeah, something like that.
A little Frenchy something.
Okay. So I didn't pronounce that French at all.
It's all right. We're not fluent.
So if you're French, please let me know how to pronounce this. Yes. Because I didn't pronounce it properly.
I'm pretty sure half of everything we've said on this podcast has been mispronounced in some way or another.
Fine. We're in the clear. So they were prominent in the town's European Creole community. So Delphine was only 4 when the Haitian Revolution started in 1791, which made slaveholders in the southern U.S. and Caribbean very afraid of resistance and rebellion among slaves. So Delphine's uncle was murdered in 1771 by his own slaves, and the revolution had inspired the local Mina conspiracy in 1791, as well as the Point Coupe in 1794 and the German Coast Uprising in 1811. So all of these are essentially organizations of African Americans, people who were slaves, who revolted, essentially, against being slaves in the South. And because of all of the uprisings, it caused many slaveholders to discipline their slaves more harshly out of fear of fighting back. So Delphine was married, like I said, 3 different times in her lifetime. So her first marriage was on June 11th, 1800, to Don Ramon de Lopez y Agulo.
Wow, that's a cool name.
Yeah. It just kept going and going.
Was that a little
Jesus.
like and in there?
E.
Yeah. E. Yeah.
Yeah. So Don Ramon de Lopez y Angulo a Caballero de la Royal de Carlos.
Wow. I want to say that roughly translates to like being a royal knight of Carlos or something. So it's probably part of his title?
I think so. Because he was a high-ranking Spanish royal officer at the St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans.
Got it.
So.
Okay. He's sweet. He's real
super fancy. Real fucking fancy.
Okay.
So in 1804, after the American acquisition, Don was appointed to Consul General for Spain in the territory of Orleans and was called to appear in the court of Spain. So I don't really know my history super well. And when I was reading over this, I was like,
what is that?
Why is he going to Spain when he's in New Orleans? Like, was New Orleans part of European,
like a Spanish
culture or something? Well, because like New Orleans is very French.
Yeah.
Like they're very heavily rooted like French culture.
Yeah. I guess I don't know much about. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. Like, really want to go and try out that like delicious Creole food. Mostly, I want to go there for the food,
and haunted
stuff
because it's all haunted.
Yes, but I have no idea.
And
I don't know.
And it's very like voodoo Haitian.
Yeah.
Focused.
The whole voodoo culture is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then, during their traveling to Madrid, Don suddenly died in Havana, and a few days later, Delphine gave birth to their daughter.
Oh, bad timing.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Right? Poor little girl.
Yeah.
So then her second marriage was in June of 1808 to Jean Blanquet.
Blanc. Something French.
Something fancy.
Yep.
Who was a prominent banker, merchant, lawyer, and legislator.
Okay.
He's just everything.
Can you pick one career, dude?
Right?
Like, come on.
Like, no. I'm going to be everything in one.
Okay.
I'm really cool.
So I feel like he's wealthy then?
Yes.
Okay.
So at that time, Jean had purchased a house for the family and later was known as Villa Blanque.
Whatever his name is.
But then he died in 1816.
Okay, so to be fair, she's not just like marrying a bunch of people because she's like can't be
because
satisfied
her husbands
with one man.
Keep
they keep dying. So,
and I didn't really research how they died, but there were a couple articles I read that said they died under suspicious circumstances.
I wouldn't be surprised. This bitch is crazy.
So there's a possibility that she may have just killed him off because she was just done with them.
I suppose.
Because being a psychopath that she was, no one probably wanted to deal with her bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
but we'll get more into the psychopathicness.
Oh, we will.
Yay.
So then, her third marriage took place on June 25th, 1825, to Leonard Louis Nicholas LaLaurie.
Then we finally get to the correct name.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where the name comes from.
Okay.
Who was a physician and much younger than Delphine. She then bought the property on 1140 Royal Street, which is the mansion we know today as LaLaurie Mansion, and managed on her own. So she managed it on her own with little involvement of her husband. Then in 1832, she had a 2-story mansion built there, complete with an attached slave quarters.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So, you know, it's fine. Their marriage was not a pleasant one, and on November 16th, 1832, she petitioned to be separated from Leonard, stating that he treated her in such a manner as to render their living together unsupportable.
See, so that's where I question if she had murdered her other 2 husbands, why let this guy off the hook? I guess was she just worried about it looking suspicious that after 3 times
probably
she was like,
after 3 husbands dying, probably not awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't look real good for your reputation, I guess. But
and I don't know what kind of stronghold this guy had on the community.
I suppose if he was a physician, a lot of people probably knew him. Yeah.
So
but the previous guy was like a lawyer, lawmaker.
He was just kind of everything.
So you'd think if she was worried about a high-profile murder case, that guy would qualify since he did 18 different careers. Yep. And I'm sure a lot of people knew him, but anyway.
I don't know.
Speculation
here. All of it.
Yep.
So, this is where the true gruesome history lies. And where we get in the deep, dark grossness that was Delphine.
Yes. The deep, dark grossness.
And the psychopath.
That's what she was.
She is.
Was just a grossness.
So Delphine, after building the mansion, enslaved people she kept as slaves, which is the exact same thing. I don't know why I wrote that.
Well, I think she took slaves that she had and then also like chained them up.
Yes.
So maybe that's what it meant. Like,
okay. Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So she had them between 1831 and 1834. But the treatment of them and the stories that are told are very mixed about if she was actually nice or if she was just a psychopath, crazy fucking woman.
Yeah, there's controversy.
Yes.
As per usual with any of these high-profile locations.
So we'll let you guys choose and decide what you think is correct. Mm-hmm. So Harriet Martineau, it's always the EAU. Martineau. It doesn't make any sense. Wrote in 1838 and recounted tales told to her by New Orleans residents during their 1836 visit. So Harriet was a well-known author during her time, went around and essentially just documented different things that happened, I guess, around the world. So she found out about the LaLaurie Mansion and wanted to know more about it. So during her visit, there were claims that the enslaved people kept by LaLaurie were observed to be singularly haggard and wretched.
Wretched.
That's
such an old-timey word that I wish people would use more. Like, it's one of my favorite words of all time, and I think it gets used a lot more in the South. But I just love that, like, oh, this is absolutely wretched. Mm-hmm. I wish we would use that word
terrible.
more. I just love it.
We can bring it back.
Great.
Yes. So, however, in public appearances, Delphine was seen as being polite to Black people and very socialite. Solicitous.
Of the health. I think maybe being very generous with the information that she divulged about how great her slaves are being treated.
Okay. Of the health of the enslaved people she kept.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're like my human dictionary.
Got it.
Big words. So, funeral registries between 1830 and 1834 documented the deaths of 12 enslaved people at the mansion, and no causes of death were mentioned. But so I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll circle back.
Okay. We'll circle back.
Okay.
So court records also showed that Delphine freed 2 of the enslaved people that she kept. Because of the rumors going around of the mistreatment of her slaves, a local lawyer went over to remind her of the laws for the upkeep of enslaved people, and the lawyer found no evidence of wrongdoing or mistreatment of the slaves.
Mm-hmm. So she probably paid him off.
She's
likely rich.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. So people were they heard rumors about her treating people, the slaves, badly, and she probably knew that he was coming and like hid them or treated them a little bit better.
How hard can it be to like keep up appearances when you're super wealthy and like influential in the community and everyone knows you and you can go to these parties and be like, oh, everything's so great. Like, I feel like that'd be such an easy cover up.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So there was one record of one of Delphine's neighbors who witnessed one of the enslaved girls who was about 8 years old. She fell to her death from the roof of the mansion while trying to avoid punishment from being whipped. Mm-hmm. So the girl ended up being buried on the grounds, and the story goes that she had been brushing Delphine's hair and hit a snag, causing Delphine to grab a whip and chase the girl around the house.
You lunatic!
Right?
Oh my god!
Yep.
Overreaction much?
Yep.
Ugh.
And then there was another story, I don't know like the full background, but before this girl had jumped, because she jumped from the roof, I believe, there was another slave who was running, I think, trying to get away from punishment for something, and ended up jumping out of the second story building.
Leah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And dropped to his death. And they now have, like, in the actual mansion that was rebuilt, on the second story, there's one of the windows is cemented out. And that's the one that the he jumped out of.
So that's interesting because I was going to talk about that story because one of the tour guides was talking about that exact story. There was a I'll get more into the story later, but basically the tour guide said that the girl didn't fall out of that window and that window was likely patched due to a interior renovation where they wanted to like do something to the inside of the house, but they wanted the outside to look symmetrical still. So they left the window there, but they bricked it up from the inside. So that might be one of those like kind of like local legend things that like where no one's really sure exactly what happened, but according to the tour guide that they don't believe that the person actually fell out of that particular window. So, but I don't know. Can't say for certain.
Can't say for certain with all of this.
I mean, that's conspiracy.
It's all we just don't know. Fake. So, because of the incident of the little 8-year-old, it led to another investigation, and Delphine was found guilty of illegal cruelty, and she was forced to forfeit 9 of her slaves. But, in the end, they were brought back to the mansion through a relative.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, Delphine told, I think it was like an uncle or someone, to go to the auction that the slaves were being sold at to buy back the slaves and to give back to Delphine.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I mean, that's smart, I guess, but it should not have been that easy.
No.
Come on.
Exactly.
Ugh.
They should have known that this was a relative and that they were most likely going back to the same family.
Yeah. Or just don't sell people, you know, just like...
that's probably the best idea.
Oh my god.
Don't be
That's
assholes.
ridiculous.
So some other conspiracies and things that Delphine did, because she's a fucking psychopath. She kept her cook chained to the kitchen stove.
Oh my god.
And would also beat her daughters when they attempted to feed or do anything nice for the slaves.
Oh sure, let's eradicate any semblance of goodness and decency your children have by punishing them when they do nice things.
Exactly.
That's great.
Like, at least her children had somewhat of a heart to try and help these people.
You should nurture that, not punish them for kindness. Yeah.
And then there was also a couple of slaves that she kept for her third husband to practice Haitian voodoo medicine on.
Oh, great.
Because he was a physician, so he's just going to try medicine on
even though they were, like, separated and unhappy, she's like, I guess I can still supply you with medical experiment patients.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Oh,
so it's really fucking weird.
That's really messed up.
Yeah. So on April 19th, 1834, a fire broke out that started in the kitchen. And when the police and fire marshal got there, they found the cook, a 70-year-old woman, chained to the stove by her ankles, of course. And she later said that she had set the fire as a suicide attempt because she and the others didn't want to live in those conditions anymore. Oh, they're just done.
70? And she had her chained? Oh my god.
Yes.
That's so awful.
Just reading through these stories and just knowing about history of slavery, it's like, how...
Well, and that one can't be just speculation because if the police and fire department show up to, like, tackle the fire and they find them there, that's going to be on record with the police. It's not like a rumor that, like, oh, I heard that she was doing this or whatever. That's
she was doing
awful. Oh, my God.
So she... the cook was going to be sent up to the torture room for punishment, and she said that those who went up to that room never came out.
Yeah, so wasn't, like, her attic legitimately used to, like... torture and beat people.
Yep.
I know there's some speculation about whether or not those stories are truly true. Oh, I spoiled it! My bad.
That's the next one.
I got all excited.
That's okay, because there's some really terrible things that happen.
Nothing gets me excited quite like torture does.
It's just the best. It's really not.
We're
not that weird.
Or are we?
I mean, you never know.
Look out.
Watch out.
Don't give us any personal information.
God.
Okay.
Yep. So, as reported in the New Orleans Bee, which I'm assuming is just like a little newsletter news something that they have there, bystanders responded to the fire and attempted to enter the quarters of the enslaved people to ensure that everyone had been evacuated. So this one, there were a couple different stories, but essentially with the rumors going around with how Delphine was treating the slaves, everyone in the community found out essentially that she had this attic that she was torturing these poor people. And so they wanted to somehow get into the attic to make sure that these people were fine. And so I think they just used the fire as a way to get in there.
A convenient distraction.
Yes, to be able to see what's actually going on. So Delphine refused to give them the keys to the attic, so the bystanders broke down the doors to the quarters of the enslaved people and found, in quotes, 7 slaves, more or less horribly mutilated, suspended by their necks, with their limbs apparently stretched and torn from one extremity to the other, end quote.
And this is, like, just people off the street barging in, right? This isn't, like, the authorities, right? Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. What a sight. Like, that'd
be awful.
Oh, my God.
And some of the other things that I'm gonna go over just...
This is where we give you the, like, trigger warning. Yes. Like, if you don't want to hear about torture, skip ahead.
Bad and just makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, like, these people had been in prison there for months and months. And then... Some of the slaves were also found to be emaciated and showed signs of being whipped, were bound in restricted positions, and they wore spiked iron collars that kept their heads in a static position.
Oh, great.
So they just couldn't move.
Yeah.
And now... The 2 things that I don't know if I believe, turning stuff, but they're kind of gross.
Okay.
So other accounts have circulated about the torture that these people had to endure, and this includes a particularly disturbing report claimed that there was a woman whose bones had been broken and reset so that she resembled a crab.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. That is the stuff out of horror movies.
I trying to picture it, I can't. Like,
I'm,
like, did they just crack it in all places and just, like...
I'm assuming, like, make your limbs, like, your joints kind of, like, twist the other way so you can, like, crab walk or something. I don't know. That better not be fucking true.
I hope not, because that just made me so uncomfortable.
Depth of evil and disgusted. That's, like... Fucking the person who had the idea to do the human centipede.
Yes.
Like, wouldn't it be cool if we sewed up someone's mouth to someone else's butthole? Like, let's bend a human into a crab shape by breaking all of their bones. Like, what kind of fucked up... Oh, my God.
Terrible.
You haven't seen that movie, have you?
No, and I never want
to. I'm, like...
No.
Weirdly, disturbingly fascinated by the concept, but I would never want to see that. And whoever came up with that, like, needs to go to therapy.
Sick.
That's...
Yep.
Gross.
It's absolutely
disgusting. And they made 3 of them.
Like, why would you want to go watch it?
No.
It's disgusting.
It's like, where I draw the line on, like, torture and stuff like that is, like, the Saw movies, which I think are just right on the edge of, like, this is good. I still find this grotesquely fascinating, but I can still sleep at night.
Exactly.
I don't think I'd be able to sleep after those movies.
Nope. I will never watch them.
Nope. Okay, good. Glad we're on the same page.
Perfect. So there was another woman that was wrapped in human intestines.
Oh! Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. I really hope this is all just, like, rumors and urban legend.
Yeah. And then this next one just makes me so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So there was one witness that also claimed that there were people with holes in their skulls and a wooden spoon near them that would be used to stir their brains.
Little brain soup going on. Little stew.
I just am so uncomfortable, and, like, my whole body just, like, cringes at the thought of that, of just someone shoving a spoon in your head and just moving your brain.
Well, theoretically, after they do that, you'd be dead.
Yes.
Thank God for that.
You got a hole in your head. Mm-hmm. And, I mean... Yeah. I'm rummaging around in there, but I just... Yeah, so that I really...
disgusting.
That's, like, next level disturbed. You need to just...
I don't like that.
She
was wired wrong.
Hardcore wired wrong.
You've got some, like, irreconcilable issues. Yes. You just need to go isolate yourself in a cabin and never interact with humanity or any living thing again.
Pretty much.
You're done.
Yeah, so those are some of the eyewitness statements that came through about what she did to these poor individuals.
That's awful.
So there was one bystander who went up to open the slave quarters door, and that was a judge named Jean Francois.
Francois, if you're being French about it.
Canonge.
Wow, that was your best one yet.
I don't speak French.
That's a really good one, though.
So he said that when Delphine's husband was questioned about the enslaved people, he was told in an insolent manner that, quote, some people had better stay at home rather than come to others' houses to dictate laws and meddle in other people's business, end quote.
Okay. That's problematic.
Yes. Very much
There's certain boundaries where you don't mess with someone else's business, but when
you're mutilating people, I think that's someone's business.
I also
to get
think
involved.
that the laws say that you're not allowed to do that.
I think so.
So that's not someone else trying to dictate the laws of how to live your life. That's you murdering people. Which is not allowed.
No,
so
you just can't do that.
That's precisely when people should come meddle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he just kind of shoved things under the rug.
If your neighbors are torturing and mutilating people, please tell someone.
Please don't
report them.
Don't just pretend.
Don't just say, mind my own business.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Please don't.
Okay.
So then, of course, when the community found out about the horrible conditions that these people had to live in, the townsfolk started a mob right next to the house.
Yay.
The mob wanted to, quote, demolish and destroy everything upon which they could lay their hands on, end quote.
Great.
And they did.
Oh, good. And so they did.
Of course. So they went into the house and they just fucking ransacked everything. They broke windows, they broke shit inside the house, they broke walls, they broke stairs, literally everything possible. And they did all that before the cops even got there. And of course, the house sustained extreme damage, and really all that was left were just the outside walls of the mansion.
That makes me happy.
Yep. So unfortunately, the enslaved people were taken to jail where they sat for public viewing.
What?
Over 4,000 people came to see the slaves to convince themselves of the suffering.
What in the actual fuck? You take these people who have been tortured, and instead of sending them to a hospital
you just put
help,
them on
you
display.
Put them on display in jail like it's a fucking circus.
Yep.
Like, oh, come to the jail and see the people who have been fucking mutilated. Mm-hmm. That makes me so angry.
It's disgusting.
Oh my god. That is such a degrading, disgusting thing to do to a human. I can't even. Mm-hmm. I can't even.
It's terrible.
That's terrible.
Yep. So after the mob destroyed the house, there wasn't much documented on what actually happened to Delphine. Some say that she fled the night of the mob, traveled up to Alabama, and eventually lived out her life in Paris.
Oh, poor baby. Fuck you, Delphine.
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
But there is an unsubstantiated story that says Delphine died in Paris in a boar hunting accident.
Oh, hell yeah.
Why is she just hunting boars?
How does one hunt boars on the streets of Paris?
I guess so.
How does that happen?
Apparently.
I don't understand.
I mean, that'd be a pretty cool way to die, but
she deserves worse than that.
She really
does.
She deserves to be tortured herself the way that she tortured
ridiculous.
them. But no one actually knows how she died. But there was an old, copper plate, I believe it was, in the St. Louis cemetery that had the birth and death of Delphine. And it was written in French from Paris, I think. And she died at the age of 62, apparently.
Okay.
And there were accounts of her, because she would write letters to her sons and daughters to let them know that she's okay. And there were accounts of her wanting to go back to New Orleans, but because of everything that happened, she wasn't sure if she could.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
But then there are other stories that say that she changed her name and appearance and then ended up living out her life later on.
Interesting.
In New Orleans. So, I don't really know.
Mysterious.
What happened
so
to
she
her.
essentially fled and no one really knows where she ended up.
Yep. And her bones to this day have not been found either.
Really? Mm-hmm. So did they check the grave then that has her name on it?
I don't know if it was the actual grave.
You said it was just a plate.
Yeah, just
a
plate.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. If I were her kids, I would not be accepting her mail.
Yeah, no.
Burn that shit.
Yep.
Just quit sending me letters. I don't care how you are.
Exactly.
Go away.
I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So the current house now on Royal Street is actually not the original house. So after the mob hit the house, it stood vacant and in shambles for 4 years until Pierre Transtour rebuilt the house in 1838. So then over the following decades, it was used as a public high school, conservatory for music, an apartment building, a refuge for young delinquents, a bar, a furniture store, and a luxury apartment building.
Gee, let's pick a couple more uses for this building.
Just literally everything.
That'd be a big-ass furniture store.
Yeah, it would. I mean, that's a pretty big building.
That's a big building. Yeah. Multiple floors. That's interesting.
So the entrance, it's supposedly a beautiful house. So the entrance to the building has iron grill work. Inside, the vestibule floor has black and white marble and a carved mahogany railed staircase that runs the full 3 stories of the building.
Wow.
That'd be beautiful to see. Mm-hmm. Gosh. And then the second floor has 3 large drawing rooms connected by ornamented sliding doors, whose walls are decorated with plaster rosettes, carved woodwork, black marble mantelpieces, and fluted pilasters. I don't know what that is.
Pilasters. Don't know what that is.
I don't either. One fun fact.
I love this fun fact. I stole a peek at your notes.
It said that Nicolas Cage bought the property for a bit in
2007?
I think so.
Yep.
2007 or 6. But the mortgage documents were arranged in such a way that his name wasn't directly on the papers. Mm-hmm. And then, unfortunately, the house was foreclosed on, and Regions Financial Corporation purchased the house in 2009. And the house is now currently privately owned by a Texas oil company, I think I read. And, there's just this guy and his wife who live there in the mansion. Yeah, they don't open it up for tours or anything.
Just such a bummer. What an interesting piece of history. I mean, I guess money it's really they could awful. Make? Yeah, I know, right?
Shit.
And I'm sure people come by anyway all the time. I'm sure they constantly get harassed of people who want to come see the house.
But their house is on a stop for ghost tours around New Orleans as well. So you can see it from the outside, you just can't go in.
But if I was just trying to live there peacefully and forget the haunted past, I would be pissed.
Yep.
Just people
coming
by all the time. Yeah, so that's interesting that after Nicolas Cage bought it, that it just immediately foreclosed a year later. I'm did you not have enough money to pay
I know.
for it? Did you go broke because no one likes you?
Probably.
That's funny.
My sources are Wikipedia and allthat'sinteresting.com.
Nice. I have a bunch of sources. I have GhostCityTours.com, TripSavvy.com, NolaGhosts.com, Amy'sCrypt.com, and Ghost.hauntedhouses.com.
Holy bananas, so many sources.
There are a lot of hauntings.
Which I'm so excited because I got here and we started recording, or before we started recording, I was like, Annie, did you actually find stuff?
It's not
because
open.
People aren't allowed to go in, so I don't know if you have anything to actually talk about.
Don't worry.
And she's like, oh, don't worry. And she just slides through 5 pages of notes. I was like, oh, okay.
It's cool. In the many, many decades of this building being used for 100 billion different purposes, there's reports of stuff happening. So we're kind of digging back into the historical archives a little bit on this one.
Perfect.
But there's plenty of activity.
Yes.
Don't worry.
I'm so excited because I didn't read anything to do with ghosts.
It's so interesting. So, for almost 200 years, there have been reports of paranormal activity coming from the LaLaurie Mansion. So, long-ass time where...
I was going to say, that's a long fucking
It's a long record. And I feel with a lot of the places we talk about, stuff doesn't pop up until, the 80s or, recently. And why would that be the case? I don't really know. So, this one being as old as it is, I'm glad that there's at least a long span of it being haunted, which makes me feel like it might be a little bit more legit.
Right.
So... a lot of the paranormal activity has been attributed to the spirits of the slaves that Madame LaLaurie, I'm going to mess it up every time, kept on the property. So people often report hearing moaning coming from the rooms where the slaves were kept. So that's a very common experience.
Time out.
Yep.
I forgot to come back full circle.
Do your circle.
So with the circle. with the 12 documented slaves from the funeral home, when they started rebuilding the house, they also found slaves who were buried on the property.
Yes.
I don't think they had a specific, cemetery. They just literally buried them.
Yeah, and there were some bodies that were just, found under the floorboards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just, there's full circle.
Yeah. It's gross. I can't imagine putting a body under my floorboard and then just, going on and living my life.
Right?
Knowing that there's a dead body.
Wouldn't it seep through? Like the smell?
Well, and not if you bury them far enough, I guess. Or if
I suppose.
Use chemicals. I have no idea. I've never buried a body.
No,
so
I haven't either.
I wouldn't know.
So, I'm sorry. We're not experts in that,
sorry, guys. Okay,
anyways.
So people hear moans quite a bit. People also hear phantom footsteps regularly echoing throughout the house, and many people report feeling as if they are being, quote, taken over by negative energy, even when standing near the mansion. So people...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people who go on the ghost tours, and, you can't go inside, obviously, but even just standing, like, on the grounds or, like, on the sidewalk, people feel this, like, very uncomfortable negative energy, which is not really surprising.
No, not at all with everything that happened.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Terribly maimed and translucent apparitions have appeared to the living, seemingly showing them their scars and wounds. So, like, look at the shit that they did to me. Here's my wounds. Like, kind of not, like, just trying to draw attention to themselves, essentially, which is so horrifying. And neighbors have reported the mansion's windows and doors opening and closing by themselves.
No.
People have also captured photos of orbs on the property.
Oh,
that's pretty usual. So, it was in the 1870s when it was converted into the apartments that you mentioned.
Okay.
And the children of residents, so not the residents themselves, but the residents' children, would regularly hear unexplained moans and disembodied screams.
Oh, gosh.
As well as smelling and hearing the crackling of burning human flesh.
Oh,
so, like,
no.
You hear the crispy and you smell the... Yes. Can you imagine being a kid?
Right?
Like, and being like, oh my God.
Smelling that? Like, most of the accounts that you hear of smelling things aren't...
Burning flesh.
Burning bodies. Like, I couldn't even imagine that smell.
So I have to imagine that came from the fire.
Yeah.
That happened when everyone busted in and discovered what was happening. So these same children also reported hearing the dragging of chains and scratching noises coming from under the floorboards. So presumably where the bodies were found. And none of the parents reported hearing any of this. So I guess all the kids could have been playing this, like, dumb, elaborate prank, I guess, is possible.
Right, but I feel like a lot of stories, though, too, you hear that I feel like kids are more susceptible and are more open to being able to talk to ghosts or see ghosts because they don't have they're essentially, like, not I don't want to say conditioned, but they're just more open-minded to those types of things than adults are.
Well, and their brains haven't yet fully developed to the point where you, like, have all the logic and reasoning and things that make you question that stuff like that. Like, your brain is still, like you said, kind of susceptible to, like, other things, and they tend to be more believing of stuff. So, yeah, I mean... There's too many reports, I feel like, for that to be just, like, a bunch of kids playing a prank. And knowing about, like, to say that they, like, smelled burning flesh or whatever, like, why would they know to say that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So at one point, an Italian immigrant living in the house said that as he was walking around one night, he encountered a shadowy black man in chains, which attacked him on the stairwell and then vanished immediately. That'd be
terrifying.
The people in the building heard about this, and by the next morning, most of the other residents who lived there just, like, peaced out. They just abandoned the building. They're like, oh, hell no.
Oh, shit.
We're not going to get attacked by dudes in chains. We're not doing it.
I mean, I wouldn't want to either.
Nope.
Sounds terrifying.
People have even reported seeing the spirit of Madame Delphine in the home. Go figure. She's got to come back to her torture grounds and torture other people. So she's been seen performing a variety of activities, such as hovering over an infant child of one of the residents, chasing children with a phantom whip,
what a bitch!
And apparently attempting to strangle a manservant who lived in the house during the 19th century.
Jeez! She's got some fucking anger issues.
She's a violent ghost.
Holy
She's not happy. One servant sleeping in the barn on the property once awoke to find a pale, black-haired woman choking him. So they kind of assume it's Delphine because that's kind of generally what she looked like. She had dark hair. But then, as he was being choked, another dark apparition then appeared, grabbed the woman's hands, took them off of the servant's throat so he could breathe, and then both of them vanished.
Oh.
So, like...
That's really specific.
Like, someone came and, like, rescued him from her friggin' ghostly choking hands.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Maybe it was one of her kids.
Yeah. Oh, saying, interesting. Mom,
get off this.
Either that or, like, one of her victims who was like, you're not doing this to another person. Like, piss off. Yep. So I thought that was really interesting.
Huh.
When the mansion was a girls' school, so at one point it was a school for all girls, there was also some interesting incidents where the young students would go to their teachers and show them that their arms were scratched and bruised. Jeez. And when the teachers asked them who had done it, the girls always said either the woman or that woman. So,
oh my gosh.
Like, it feels to me like it would be unlikely that any of the staff or teachers were abusing the kids because the kids are coming to the teachers and saying, like, the woman did it. And I feel like if they were going to go get help, they would say if it was actually someone they knew, or they wouldn't go to a teacher if the teachers were abusing them, right? So I thought that was interesting. So her spirit apparently was like, let's torture some young students and scratch them. God. So there were multiple reports of that. It happened to multiple kids.
Crazy
Which is crazy. However, not all ghosts reported in the home are traced back to Madame LaLaurie and her torture, which I find interesting. There's a couple of other things that happened that seem to be unrelated. I guess it's hard to say for certain, but certain. In 1894, a tenant who lived at the mansion was brutally murdered in his room.
Oh,
so when they went to investigate, they found his belongings ransacked as though someone had gone through all of them. So the police assumed that he had been a victim of a violent robbery. However, nothing valuable was found missing. So they were like, what the heck happened? So the police started interviewing the neighbors, and one of the man's friends said that the man had claimed he was having problems with sprites in the house. So
sprites, you say?
Sprites being kind of like a general term for like little mischievous spirits, I think. That's what I think of when I hear sprite.
I just think of pop.
Pop? He had some pop problems. Running around. Cans of pop rolling down the hallway.
Coming to get you.
No, run. So he also told another friend that he thought there was a demon in the house that wasn't going to rest until he had met his end, which then he did in the house.
Oh?
So he was convinced that he was being haunted and tormented by a demon, and then was found murdered, and they ruled it not to be a suicide, but they couldn't find any other reason or motive for anyone else to have murdered him. So
weird.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a robbery gone wrong. Like, they may have, like, gotten the wrong apartment and broken in, found that, like, oh, shoot, you don't have anything valuable. We have to kill you because you're a witness.
Right.
But it was interesting that he thought he was being hunted by demons and sprites.
Odd. Sprites are coming for you.
Mm-hmm. Many people think that some of the paranormal activity experienced in the house can be attributed to this murder victim and also possibly the demon who he believed was tormenting him up until his death. So some other paranormal experiences that people have reported throughout the mansion's history. So there's been reports of seeing the young slave girl who was running across the roof and jumping off of it, who after trying to escape from Delphine.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
Gosh.
People have heard agonized screams, and many people visiting the home have ended up leaving after only a day because they couldn't stand to stay there. So this is before it was like private property. It was like when people were going and living there, or maybe when it was a business, they would go and stay. And they're like, no, I can't. I'm not staying. This is not working for me.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. There have also been reports of spectral beings appearing and disappearing on the iron balconies, and people finding butchered animals in the house.
Oh!
Which could totally just be like part of a cult or like seance activity stuff. Like, it was uninhabited for a few years, so I could totally see that happening. But
that's so sad.
Either way, it's really sad.
Leave the animals alone.
Leave them out of your shit.
Don't fucking touch them.
If you're gonna do a blood ritual, use your own blood.
Right.
You do not need to kill an animal.
No.
They are innocent.
Dumb.
So during the 20th century, when it was a furniture store, the owner of the store would repeatedly find his merchandise covered in a mysterious foul-smelling fluid.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I would never buy anything from a furniture store that is haunted because the ghost can just attach to whatever
live in the
fucking
furniture?
one that... Yes, exactly. And then they're just gonna go home with you.
Especially if it's like a grandfather clock or something.
Yeah, like
no.
Fucking no. I'm not... Nope.
We're not doing that.
Nope.
I mean, I guess people may not know that the house was haunted, I guess, if it was just a furniture store, but
you know the history of it, so maybe you should just assume that it's bad.
Yeah.
Spares.
Especially if it's covered in nasty smelling fluid. Yeah. I would not want to buy furniture.
I wouldn't either.
So he thought he was like being like vandalized, or that some like local kids were just messing with him, which I'd be so pissed if that were true.
God,
oh my
terrible.
God. So he decides to stay up late one night to try to catch them. So he's like waiting and waiting. And he found that during the night, the fluid had mysteriously appeared again, even though no one had entered the shop, and he had been waiting for vandals the whole time and no one came in or out of the building.
That's so weird.
He had some seeping ghost goop.
Delicious.
The business closed shortly after.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Because he couldn't keep his furniture clean.
It.
Seeping ghost goop. I do. I want it all over my furniture.
Everywhere.
I want it in my bed.
Delicious. Smells so good next podcast.
Yes.
Oh, no.
That's disgusting. Okay, so now kind of talking about a few of the things that have happened on tours. So a tour guide who works for Ghost City Tours was giving a tour one night and was standing just outside of the mansion because it's one of their popular stops on the tour of the city. Mm-hmm. And she was explaining the story of the home when she felt a strong tug on her messenger bag, which was kind of like draped over one shoulder. So she kind of stopped, like in the middle of a sentence, and kind of looked behind her because she thought at first it might have been a pickpocket or something.
Oh, okay.
That's probably really common in that area. Mm-hmm. And so she turns around, there's no one there. She goes back and resumes the tour. And then within a few seconds, she felt another tug, but like harder this time, like someone was like yanking on her bag.
Oh my gosh.
And so she like whips around again, and again, there's no one there. And she said this time when she turned back, all the tour, like people on the tour, their faces were like shocked because they saw it. And they saw her bag like move.
I just got goosebumps all over my body.
But no one else saw anything either. So everyone on the tour is like, what the hell just grabbed your bag?
What?
Yeah.
That'd be so cool to see.
I know.
We just need to take a road trip down New Orleans now and just go.
Can we eat all the like jambalaya and Cajun food and like spicy shrimp and deliciousness?
Because that sounds so fucking delicious.
Sounds so good.
We can have a crawfish boil.
Yes! I've never had crawfish.
I haven't either.
Delicious.
That sounds so good.
Oh my God. Yes.
We're going.
We're doing it.
Okay.
Mostly for the food, also for the ghosts, but mostly for the food.
Mostly for the food.
So yeah, that was creepy because everyone else kind of saw it and we're all like, what the hell just happened? Mm-hmm. So 2 weeks later, the same guide stopped at the mansion again on her tour of the city and started talking about the girl, Leah, who had fallen out of the window. So she said that at the moment she said Leah, the nearby lamps all immediately turned on, and like everyone jumped because they were all off and they all turned on, which totally could have been coincidence, right?
Right.
Well, she keeps going, and the second time she said Leah while telling the story, all of the lamps blew out simultaneously.
What?
So
that's not a coincidence.
No, not twice.
No.
Maybe once, not twice.
Yeah.
So Leah's like putting out lamps and turning on lights and stuff.
You go,
Leah. One person who was taking a ghost tour of the mansion happened to be a medium. So not a tour of the mansion, but kind of like going through the tour of the city. And throughout the entire night, she had managed to like sense things about the different locations they had been before the tour guide even told the story. So she had been like making comments where it's like, oh, I haven't even explained that part of the history yet, and that you're like making weird comments about it. So it seemed like she kind of was like a legit medium. Mm-hmm. Either that or she had done a lot of research ahead of time. So they got to the spot where Leah had fallen out of the window. But before the guide had like started to say anything, the medium pointed up at the bricked up window and said, "That's not where the little girl fell." Oh. And the guide was like, yeah, you're right, actually. And she was like startled because she was like, oh, you like made that comment before I even said anything. Uh-huh. So the guide was like, yeah, you're right. She had fallen out of the window into the courtyard, but most likely the bricked up window was part of an interior decorating change, and for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. So they believe that I don't know if they thought she fell out of a different window or if she fell from somewhere else in the house. I don't know like why they don't think she fell out of that window in particular. But so she was like, oh yeah, you're right. We don't think she fell out of that window. And then a few minutes after that, the medium said she experienced an extremely heavy emotion-like weight settling on her shoulders. Oh. And said she sensed the spirit of a young boy who liked to play pranks on the living.
You go,
little kid.
You go.
And the spirit of a little girl who was often nervous.
Oh, a little nervous Nellie.
Nervous ghost. Oh, I don't know why.
Poor baby.
I don't know who those kids are or why they
She's just so nervous.
She's just nervous.
Oh, what a poor thing.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the current owner of the home who uses it as a private residence doesn't let people in, but apparently has gone on record to say they haven't experienced anything ghostly since moving in.
Yeah, fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I don't believe you. You're lying. You just don't want people coming to your house.
They probably just do seances all night, every day in that fucking house.
How could you not?
Exactly.
I know. So
holding seance parties and demon potlucks. I don't know.
Demon potlucks. Everyone brings something.
Yes.
You bring your ghost goop stew, and then you can bring, I don't know. But before they closed down, there was a couple of paranormal investigations that did manage to get in and do it before they shut it off. So Portals to Hell, which is a show that I've never seen it, but I think I mentioned it on a different episode. They had done.
That sounds really familiar.
And that was the only other time I'd heard of it, when we talked about them doing an investigation. Where was it?
I don't remember.
God, I can't remember. But they came and did an investigation before it went on lockdown, and they were the first people to do a formal paranormal investigation on the property. Cool. And then I don't know if Ghost Adventures went there. I know they did a whole investigation of the city of New Orleans, and I think they stopped in the by the mansion. Okay. But I don't know if they went in. I didn't actually find the episode or watch it, so I'm not sure if they went in or not. But I feel like if they ever open it up, they've got to do some paranormal investigations there because with 200 years of like records of stuff happening,
so much.
There's got to be something there, and it's really a bummer that they don't do tours.
I know. Do you know how much money they could make,
dude?
Fuck.
I know.
Be rich.
Yep.
Like do a bed and breakfast or something,
or maybe like once a year, like on Halloween weekend or something. Open it up for like a weekend, and charge $20 a ticket. I'm sure people would easily pay that. Make make a couple $1,000s over the weekend. And,
heck yeah, that's all you need to do for the rest of the year.
Seriously,
just open it up and you'd be good to go.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yeah, and just like make sure you like rope off places where you don't want people going and say don't touch anything. If you do, we'll kick you out. Boom.
Exactly.
Bing bang boom. Done. Perfect business idea.
Yes. Gosh, we should just be our own business owners.
I guess. Although I suppose if you're rich enough to be able to afford the mansion, you probably don't need the extra income. Probably but still, you're depriving the world of a perfectly awesome haunted house.
Okay, guys.
And I just want to go inside. Oh. I just want it.
Well,
so
it is what it is.
So, friends.
That is the LaLaurie.
The LaLaurie Mansion in
Nolans.
Super demented and messed up.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend the 3rd season of American Horror Story. It's really different, but there's a couple of... It takes place in New Orleans, and they talk about the voodoo culture a little bit, and this whole, like... There's, like, a coven of witches and stuff, and Madame LaLaurie is one of the characters in that season, which I think is cool. So if you found this story at all interesting, I would recommend that season.
Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Prob's gonna go watch it now.
Probs, go do it.
It's really cool.
It is cool. It's a good show.
Yeah. So, friends. We've got a new thing for you guys.
Yeah, oh my god, yes, I forgot about this.
So, since we're starting our cult, obviously... cocktail cult.
Yes.
We decided that we need to provide you guys with cocktail recipes that we have tried and to talk about them so you guys just know about them and you can try them out.
Yeah, exactly. So, we can give you some reviews, some tips.
Yeah, I will be posting these every Thursday because #Thirsty Thursday.
Hell yeah.
And I know you all want to try out these new drink recipes because they're pretty affordable and quite delicious. So our first one that we are going to talk about that we had last weekend.
Yep.
When we podcasted.
I also had this at my book club, and it's where I got the recipe. So thank you, book club members, for making these because they were super good. This is also a fun way to engage with our cult and still socially distance because then you can have a drink at home and we don't have to get together, do anything. You can just enjoy it.
And if you make these drinks, tag us in your post on social media.
Yes, please. Oh my God.
So that we can share it to the world to show that you guys made these drinks as well.
So this one is fun. This was coming out of a Harry Potter themed book club night. So if you like Harry, I wouldn't say the drink necessarily totally resembles the name, but it's called Unicorn Blood. And it's based on like the little elixir that Voldemort makes for himself in the first book to stay alive. So
it's quite delicious.
The recipe is a shot of silver tequila, so 1.5 ounces, 1.5 ounces of elderflower liqueur, and 1 ounce of lemon juice. Add all of your ingredients into a shaker, add ice, and shake for a full 20 seconds, then strain.
It's so good.
It's delicious.
It is so refreshing.
And I was like, this elderflower liqueur smells weird.
It smelled like fucking feet.
No, it didn't.
It smelled disgusting.
It smelled like a flower.
No, it didn't.
You're weird.
It smelled like alcoholic feet, and it was just so absolutely disgusting. But then she put it in the drink, and it was just so good.
I used to think tequila tasted like alcoholic feet. I used to think tequila tasted like rotten, like sweaty. My literal description of tequila for years was sweaty gym socks and rotten peanuts.
That's disgusting.
I hated tequila. I thought it was so gross.
Gotta get the good tequila.
I'm warming up to it now.
I love tequila.
But it was really good in this liqueur. It was very refreshing. It was a nice, like, lemony, bright, cold drink for summer. I thought it was very refreshing. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like a French 75.
Yeah.
It was very good.
It was so good.
Yes.
And just a little tip. Make sure that your ice is either filtered or you bought it from the store. Don't use tap water ice because then it can alter the flavor of your drinks.
Yes.
So make sure that it is purified ice because that changes your drink taste drastically.
My regular ice cubes taste like freezer.
Yep, and you don't want a freezer taste in drink.
No, it's literally like that chemically freezer burn taste. Yeah, that's what my ice cubes taste like. So
delicious.
Don't use those for your beverages because it'll make them taste gross. So
just don't do it.
So that was our beverage of the week.
Your beverage of the week.
Unicorn Blood.
Post that on Thursday for you all with a beautiful picture. Annie's going to make it this week because I didn't take a picture of it last week.
Please remind me to take a picture.
I will. So don't drink it all and be like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Here's your empty
cup. I guess I'll have to make another one.
Oh, dang it.
Bummer.
there. Shoot.
Yeah.
So, and this allows us to try out so many new drinks.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
We can't be the leaders of a craft
cult cocktail. Cocktail craft cult. Cult cocktail craft.
How many different combinations of those words can we do? We can't very well be the leaders of a craft cocktail cult and not have just like a plethora of amazing recipes to share with our followers.
Exactly. So we're going to come at you with plethora of delicious cocktails for you to try.
Hooray.
So
get excited.
Get so excited because I'm so excited for this.
Me too.
This is going to be great.
In the meantime, friends, please send us your stories of anything scary or unexplained or paranormal that may have happened to you or someone in your life.
We just need it.
I just want it. I want to read it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
send it in. NightmareNation19@gmail.com, please.
Or check us out on social media. We're on Facebook at Nightmare_Nation19.
Yep.
Or the Instagram at Nightmare.Nation19.
And we are also on the YouTube now.
Yeah, we are.
Well. Nightmare Nation 19, all one word.
Yep.
Check us out.
Any combination of those words and numbers, you will probably find us.
Yes, you will.
So, yeah.
Find us where you listen to all of your podcasts.
Subscribe, comment, review, send in suggestions of places you'd like to hear covered, because we love that too. So
we want to hear about it.
Cool.
All right, friends.
Thanks, friends.
Don't use Ouija boards.
Don't have a seance.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.